Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. As 2024 progresses, cinema enthusiasts have been treated to a diverse array of captivating films that have left a lasting impression on audiences worldwide. From gripping dramas to innovative science fiction and heart-pounding action, the best movies of 2024 showcase remarkable storytelling, stellar performances, and groundbreaking cinematography. These films not only entertain but also provoke thought and emotion, setting a high standard for cinematic excellence in the years to come. We hope that this selection will be useful and everyone will find something new to watch. So let's not waste any time and begin. Number 7. Last Summer. No director is better suited to making an uneasy movie about an older woman and a younger man than Catherine Breillat, Francis reading Provocatus, who with Last Summer makes a triumphant return to filmmaking after a decade-long break. Leigh Drucker brings a fascinating flintiness to her character, and a lawyer whose work representing young victims of sexual abuse doesn't stop her from falling into bed with her 17-year-old stepson, Thev Samuel Kirker. Anne and they come together in the dreamlike bubble of summer, but the film gets more interesting when the real world intrudes on their idyll and Anne proves that, in order to protect herself, she's capable of wielding the same language used to discredit the victims she represents. Number 6. Green Border. Agnieszka Holland's Green Border forces us to confront raw human behavior short of all niceties and posturing. Her epic new film tackles the European refugee crisis from several angles as a game of uniquely cruel political football is played between Poland and Belarus with real terrified humans, most fleeing wars in Afghanistan, Syria, and elsewhere in the Middle East and Africa, caught in the middle. Built around exhaustive research into real-life incidents, the cruelties inflicted on people in this picture are beyond evil. Starving refugees forced into bribes and robbed blind, thirsty men forced to drink broken glass, children torn from their families, sick old men beaten to a pulp, a heavily pregnant woman tossed over a fence like a sack of potatoes, the freezing and the wounded left to die in the cold. Holland is a humanist, not a sadist, so she doesn't dwell on these actions. But she doesn't flinch from letting us witness such horrors amid the intimate urgency of her filmmaking. Her structure replicates the process of dehumanization these people go through. Thus, the film's form forces us to confront our own inaction. It's an unforgettable movie in all senses of the word. Number 5. Thelma. Writer-director Josh Margolin's film follows a 94-year-old woman who goes on a quest to locate the crooks who scammed her out of $10,000. Somehow, it manages to be so charming and heartfelt that the laughs never feel lazy, cheap, or cruel. It's anchored by a delightful performance from Jude Squibb, a marvelous actor who has never gotten a lead role like this. She turns what is otherwise a pretty simple, cute setup into something far more profound. The protagonist's quest to find the people who did this to her becomes about more than righting a wrong or getting her money back. It's a way to prove to everyone, and herself, that she still has agency in her life. That doesn't stop Margolin from riffing on spy movies and action flicks. One of Thelma's inspirations is the spectacle of Tom Cruise sprinting across the rooftops of London in Mission Impossible Fallout. For her, he becomes a symbol of persistence and resilience in one's advancing years. And for us, she becomes the same. There's a compelling universality to the film. As the world spins ever forward, we all wind up out of touch with it soon enough. Number 4. Hitman. How many of you really know yourselves? Philosophy lecturer Gary Johnson, Glenn Powell, posits this question early on in Richard Linklater's Hitman. What if yourself is a construction, an illusion, a role you've been playing since the day you were born? It turns out that he's about to become a walking answer to the question, as this amiable, bird-watching everyman pretends to be an assassin for the New Orleans Police Department's sting operations. As a fake hitman, Gary is effectively playing a figure out of our collective imagination, and that liberates him. He can make up the character as he sees fit because the people he's playing quite simply don't exist. Hitman works simultaneously as an indulgence in and a deconstruction of the basic transaction of stardom. It presents us with a guy we can never be, then makes us believe for a moment that we can be him, even as it tells us that such a guy doesn't exist in the first place. If Glenn Powell's not already a star, this picture might well make him one. Number 3. Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, a prequel, a revenge tale, and even something of a Bildungsroman. George Miller's prequel to Mad Max Fury Road follows the travails of the young Furiosa, as she's kidnapped by a motorcycle warlord named Dementus, Chris Hemsworth, and later traded off to Immortan Joe, the villain of Fury Road, here played by Lachi Holm. Until now, the characters in the Mad Max films, yes, even the children, have arrived mostly fully formed, their minds and attitudes shaped by this dead world. Here, however, we watch a bright, young innocent lose everything that has ever meant anything to her, and her heart hardens. A pall of hopelessness hangs over the movie as we absorb the lessons of the wasteland along with our heroine. But the film is also thrilling in its own right. Action sequences charge forward and build, casually leaving all manner of bodies in their wake. It might not be a huge hit, but it's nice to know that after all these years, George Miller seems determined to stay true to his mad self. Number 2. Civil War. What makes Alex Garland's controversial new film so diabolically clever is the way that it both revels in and abhors our fascination with the idea of America as a battlefield. The film is set in what appears to be the present, but in this version of the present, a combination of strongman tactics and secessionist movements have fractured the United States into multiple armed, politically unspecified factions. Smoke rises from cities, the highways are filled with walls of wrecked cars, suicide bombers dive into a crowd lined up for water rations. Death squads, snipers, and mass graves dot the countryside. How we got here, or what these people are fighting over, is mostly meaningless to the journalists covering this war, who gather in hotel bars, get drunk, and loudly yuck it up with the jacked-up bonhomie we might recognize from movies set in foreign lands like The Killing Fields, Under Fire, and Salvador. They're mostly numb to the horrors they're chronicling. The movie's lack of a political point of view has received some understandable criticism, but the conceit here is to depict Americans acting the way we've seen people act in other international conflicts. Number 1. The Fall Guy. David Leitch's action comedy mystery romance set in the world of stunt professionals is an act of pure movie love, mixing and matching genres while tossing off in jokes and references to its illustrious and not so illustrious forebears. Ryan Gosling, whose comedic talents were criminally undervalued until last year's runaway hit Barbie, gets to flex them again here, bringing his deadpan, affably dim charm to the role of Colt Seavers, a hotshot stunt double for megawatt movie star Tom Ryder, Aaron Taylor Johnson. After an accident seems to end his career, a foreigner Colt gets a call to come perform a stunt on the Sydney set of a new flick being directed by Jodie Moreno, Emily Blunt, the woman he once loved, and is sucked into a shaggy dog missing persons case. The stunts are spectacular and Gosling is very funny, but maybe the most surprising thing about the film is how genuinely romantic it is. Blunt and Gosling have splendid chemistry, the kind of on-screen magnetism shared by people who are not just insanely hot, but also simply know how to look at each other. The film invests us in wanting Colt and Jodie to get back together. We're willing to accept any ridiculous situation so long as it reunites them. Well, this is it. Share your impressions in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for upcoming videos. Bye.